In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to make this Our First Christmas as Mr. and Mrs. decoration. It makes a great personalised gift. Using the same method, I'm also making this gift for my boyfriend's granddad. It has a nice quote on it. I've also used the same method to make the string of hearts for a just married gift. It features the bride and groom's names, the date of their wedding, photos from their wedding day, and also the lyrics to the song they chose for their first dance. I shall also be teaching you how to make this decorative gift box, which will contain the string of hearts for the just married gift. So I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas decoration. I'm doing a Mr. and Mrs. Our First Christmas one. And on one side I'm going to have a photo, and on the other side I'm going to have some text. So it says Our First Christmas is Mr. Kang and Mrs. Scholes Kang, December 2015. And I'm going to put it onto this £1 heart from Hobbycraft. So the first thing I'm going to do is use this heart as a template and just draw around it. So for the text, what I advise you to do is take some tracing paper, or I'm just using greaseproof paper here, and draw around the heart. Like so. And then you're going to reverse the paper, and this way you can work out where you want the text to go, so you can get it central and see what you're actually doing. Then just draw over the heart. And then the next step is to cut these out. So you end up with something that looks like that, for the text. Then you're going to take your £1 Hobbycraft heart, and with a mixture of PVA glue and water, I'm just going to dip it in and then wipe off the excess. Just position it over the heart. And then just rub it all over and get rid of any air bubbles. Then you're going to leave that to dry, because you can't do the other side yet. So once that's dried, you're going to cut around the edges to make it neater, and it is easiest to do this step once the paper has dried and the glue has dried, rather than when it's still wet. Now you can do the text side of the heart using the same method, but if you're using a black font on a white background, I'd advise you to first paint over the font in a thin layer of just straight PVA glue and let that dry before you put it into your PVA glue and water mixture, otherwise it will smudge. Then you can carry on with the same method, wait for it to dry and cut round it as shown. Following that, coat the heart in straight PVA glue, let it dry and repeat that process 3 times. Do this on both sides. So as well as a first Christmas as a married couple, I'm also going to do one for my boyfriend's granddad. And I've done one side just as I did just now and showed you. And I'm going to do the other side now. So I've put some text over this photo and it says, a grandfather is someone you can look up to. And then on the other side it says, no matter how tall you grow. I'm just going to dip my photo. The reason that I'm not gluing it straight on to the wood is that if you just use straight PVA glue and don't mix it with water, it tends to get a bit more creased and a bit more bumpy, and the glue seems to collect in areas and not give such a nice finish. So that's why I'm doing it like this. And just press it down again. And then you can leave it to dry. Once it's dry, cut off any excess around the heart just to make it neater like you did before. You can then apply straight PVA glue 3 times on both sides, waiting for each layer to dry before applying the next, just to give it a nice finish. Here I've used exactly the same process I've just shown you, but applied my pictures and font to smaller hearts. I'm going to make a string of them as a just married gift. For this project I'm including 2 hearts with text on. The first will be at the top of the string of hearts and will detail the bride and groom's names and the date of their wedding. The other one will be at the bottom of the string of hearts and will be the lyrics to the first dance song they chose. I purchased these hearts in a selection bag from Hobbycraft, and they have hooks on the top of them so that you can hang them. So now that these have finished drying, I'm going to put them on this piece of ribbon so that they hang vertically down. You could always do them so they hang horizontally and the hearts would fall if you put pins between each one, a bit like bunting. So I've got my text at either end, so I've got the words to the song they chose for their first dance at the bottom, and I've got their names and their wedding date at the top, and I'm going to work backwards, so I'm going to start with the one that was last. And I've done my pictures in chronological order. Chronological? Chronological order. So this bottom one I'm going to actually just knot. So I'm going to loop it through twice to secure it well. Then I'm just going to cut off the excess ribbon. So now I'm going to thread this piece through as well, and I'm going to place the ribbon behind it, so I'm going to thread through to the front from the back. And I'm going to leave some spacing. And then thread through from the back again. Just pull on either end of the ribbon. So it looks like that at the moment, and obviously it'll just hang flat against the wall, but I think I'll glue down the back anyway in a minute. So then do the same again for the rest of the hearts. So you just want to do the same gap each time. So I'm just going to rotate these and then glue the backs. it works here just gluing the back of the ribbon, because this ribbon is so thin, it has such a loose weave that it actually goes through the ribbon. But if your ribbon's thick and isn't that transparent and has a tight weave, then you want to glue obviously the side that is facing the actual heart. Just make sure when you're going to the next heart that it doesn't affect, the movement doesn't affect the previous one. And just leave all that to dry. So once you've let the glue dry, what we're going to do is we're going to make a loop in the top, just so you can hang it off a nail or something, and we're going to leave about that much ribbon so that it's in keeping with all the spaces in between the hearts. So just going to knot it at that spot. And you can keep your finger in it as you tighten the knot so that it's got that space for a loop, space for a nail. So it looks like this. So you can loop that little bit over something. Probably do this closer to the camera, shouldn't I? You've got this little loop in it now. So once you tighten that up, you can cut off the excess ribbon. So it's going to hang like that. Obviously it will be kept against a wall. So I just made a little bow that looks like that. And I'm going to glue the ends so that it doesn't fray, because it's a funny sort of ribbon. And then I'm going to stick it on to where I've knotted it at the top. That's the theory anyway. Here I am gluing the bow on using super glue. So for the Just Married selection of smaller hearts that I've done, I've bought this box from Hobbycraft and it's just cardboard and it's got a lid. So I'm going to put the finished product in this box. So I'm just going to decorate it in this paper that's also from Hobbycraft. So I'm just going to cut it up into smaller pieces. Now I'm going to dip it into the same mixture and just stick it on. Once you've finished applying the paper using this method, allow it to dry. Then you can come back and paint over it with straight PVA glue. Let that dry and then do the same 2 more times with straight PVA glue just to give it a nice finish.